بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على النبي أما بعد. Our first lesson in التذكرة في علوم الحديث by one of the great ulama of the medieval time period in which many muhaddithin lived, Umar ibn Ali, who was well known as Ibn al-Mulaqim. Ibn al-Mulaqin. We all know that he died in the year 804 of the Hijrah. A very brief biography that's mentioned by the Muhaqqiq, the editor of the book, Sheikh Ali Hassan al-Halabi. He says, موجز ترجمة المصنف هو عمر بن علي بن أحمد بن محمد بن عبد الله المصري الشافعي المشهور بابن الملقن. His actual name was Umar, the son of Ali, the son of Ahmed, the son of Muhammad, the son of Abdullah al-Misri, who was from Egypt, and he was Shafi'i. His madhab and fiqh was that of Imam Shafi'i. He's well known with the nickname or the by-name or the title of Ibn al-Mulaqin, the son of al-Mulaqin. ولد بالقاهرة في 22 من شهر ربيع أول سنة 23 و700. He was born in Cairo on the 22nd day of Rabi' Awal during the year 723. نشأ نشأة علمية فحفظ كتاب الله سبحانه بالإضافة إلى عدد من المتون الفقهية والحديثية المجموعة كعمدة الأحكام والمنهاج وغيرهما. He says that he was raised in a knowledge-based environment, a noble family, well-known household. He started off by studying and memorizing the Quran and learning many different small manuals on fiqh and hadith, such as عمدة الأحكام and al-minhaj. وبدأ بسماع الحديث منذ صغره حتى قال سمعت 1000 جزء حديثية. Alhamdulillah, he started seeking knowledge at a very young age. Whereas he said, or he's quoted to have said, I've heard over 1,000 small books on hadith, ajza, small compilations and collections of hadith. وقد رحل رحمه الله طلبا للحديث إلى عدة بلدان أو بلاد منها دمشق والحرمان وبيت المقدس وغيرهما. He traveled to many countries to learn and to study, to hear hadith and meet the great ulama of hadith. From them was Damascus, two holy cities of Mecca and Medina, Jerusalem, and others. شيوخه كثيرون أشهرهم الحافظ العلائي والإمام الإسنوي وتقي الدين السبكي وابن جماعة وغيرهم. He had many great teachers. From the most prominent were Hafiz al-Ala'i, the author of Jami' al-Tahsil, of course, Imam al-Isnawi, al-Subki, a famous Shafi'i scholar, and also Ibn Jama'ah, the author of Tadhkirah al-Sami' wal-Mutakallim, and many others. وتلاميذه أيضا كثر أشهرهم الحافظ السبت بن العجمي وولي الدين العراقي والمقريزي وابن حجر وغيرهم. He also had many disciples, many pupils. The most famous of them was Ibn Sibt al-Ajmi, also al-Iraqi, Waliyuddin al-Iraqi, al-Miqrizi, and of course the student which would suffice him with regards to status and nobility. If he had no other pupils except for Ibn Hajar, then that would be enough to show his great status. Before we move further, when we read about these great ulama, the different ways that we determine their greatness. And from those ways is who they studied with and who they taught, who graduated from their institutes, quote unquote, speaking metaphorically. And that shows the greatness of an alim, where he learned and who he taught, what legacy and heritage he received, and how he passed it on to others. Another point of determining the greatness of these imams is the next point that he says, مصنفاته كثيرة زادت على 70. He says he had many books that he wrote, over 70 titles. As another way of determining, as we said, the status of an alim is his production, as his prolific writing with regards to the quality and the quantity. And also, what's new and what's unique. As far as continuing to copy and to rewrite and to photocopy, that's no good. But what did you create? What breakthrough did you make? What new chambers did you open up? Very important concept to keep on your mind. It then says, وقد امتحن رحمه الله بسبب دس بعض حاسديه من المنتسبين للعلم إلى السلطان ورقة مزورة موهما أنها من المصنف رحمه الله. He then says here, but he was afflicted, and is also a very important point of the biographies of the ulama of the past, is they talk about the different fitan that they went through, the imtihanat that they had to suffer. And that's the sunnah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is to test the slaves that He loves. And greatness doesn't come without sacrifice. Excellence and awesomeness does not come without scandal. Someone is going to be jealous, someone is going to be envious, someone is going to try to bring you down, someone will try to scratch you and claw you and turn into a nasty dog fight. That's how Allah Azza wa Jal has decreed things. So notice for sure, if you tread the path of excellence, you are going to receive trouble. People are going to hate you, they're going to talk about you, they're going to lie against you, they're going to misconstrue your words. So he says that there was some people that were envious and jealous, people that were claiming and attaching themselves to ilm. They went to the sultan, the ruler, and they basically forged a letter in which they said that the author had wrote. What was that letter? What did it say? He doesn't mention that here. Perhaps it was something that angered the sultan, whether it was a personal attack on the sultan, whether it was an issue of aqidah or fiqh, a major fiqh rulings with regards to talaq, different things, how the ulama of the past were put through trials and tribulations. Okay? May Allah Azza wa Jalla have mercy upon him. It then says, توفي ليلة الجمعة 16 ربيع الأول سنة 84 رحمه الله تعالى. He died on the night of Jum'ah, the 16th day of Rabi al-Awwal, during the year 804. May Allah Azza wa Jalla have mercy upon him. He concludes his biography by saying, ترجمه السخاوي في الضوء اللامع وطول في ترجمته. As-Sakhawi, one of the disciples of Hafiz bin Hajar, he said, or he gave a very lengthy biography of the author in his book Al-Daw al-Lami'. Now we see that the Muhaqqiq, he didn't mention the Aqidah of Ibn al-Mulaqin, nor did he mention the Thana, any praise of the people of knowledge for Ibn al-Mulaqin. What's important is, obviously he said that it was brief and it was summarized, but when you read his biography, you'll find in there what you're going to find in most other biographies of the ulama of that era and of that field of study, hadith and fiqh. They were Shafi'i madhab, and they were heavily influenced, if not fully blown, Ash'aris. Or we can say, at least we know for sure, they were influenced, and there was much confusion with regards to the way of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah, with regards to creed, Iman, Qadar, the awliya, Anbiya, al-Masadar al-Talaqi, the concept of Aql and Naql, let alone Asma wa Sifat and Af'al. There was much confusion, and we know that during that time, that was considered to be like the standard textbook orthodox way. Shafi'i madhab and the Aqidah, which they considered and they called Ahlul Sunnah, and they looked at the Rafida and the Shia, or the Jahmiyyah, the Mu'tazila as Ahlul Bid'ah. But the Ash'ari way was considered to be balanced and in the middle. May Allah Azza wa Jalla have mercy upon him, Ibn Hajar, and all those ulama that lived and died like that. Then we have on page 9 of the book, page 10 in the PDF, a few examples of the makhtuta, what we call al-nuskhatul makhtuta, or al-makhtut, which is basically the original manuscript. Okay. Some of these are in the author's handwriting himself. It's very interesting to look at them and reflect on them, how they used to write and communicate and correspond with each other. moving on to page 13 in the book, page 14 in the PDF, the author begins the message by saying, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Allah ahmadu ala na'ma'i wa ashkuruhu ala ala'i wa usalli ala ashraf al-khalq Muhammad wa alihi wa usallim wa ba'd. فهذه تذكرة في علوم الحديث يتنبه بها المبتدي ويتبصر بها المنتهي، اقتطبتها من المقنع تأليفي، وإلى الله أرغب في النفع بها إنه بيده والقادر عليه. أقسام الحديث ثلاثة: صحيح وحسن وضعيف. The author says, in the name of Allah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, he praises Allah Azza wa Jal for his blessings and bounties, thanks him for his gifts, sends prayers and salutations upon the most noble of creation, Muhammad, and his family to proceed. He says this book here, this matan, this manual, is a tadhkiratun, is a memorandum or a manifesto. يَتَنَبَّهُ بِهَا الْمُبْتَدِي, is a book that will break in the newcomer. It's a book that is a means of, as a primer for the beginner, for the rookie, the greenhorn as we say. وَيَتَبَصَّرُ بِهَا الْمُنْتَهِي, and it's a reminder and a refresher for the expert, the one who's been around the block, the one who is a veteran, the one who has learned and mastered this science and this skill. He says that this book of mine is coming from a larger book, a bigger book, which is called Al-Muqni'. The book Al-Muqni', walillahi alhamd, is well known. It's in print, it's in circulation. I purchased the book in Al-Madinah and personally benefited from it, writing some research papers in my first year of the master's program in the Islamic University of Medina College of Hadith. So we see that the author, and it's very beneficial for us, is that he's benefiting from something that they previously benefited from. And this is a very important universal principle, is that when you put in hard work and you sacrifice and you suffer and you struggle hard and you make a breakthrough by Allah's permission, it just doesn't happen once. It doesn't just stop there, but it continues, and you continue to eat from it. You continue to benefit from it. You continue to going back to it over and over again. And it never ever gets old. It's like sterling silver. It just needs to be taken off the shelf and polished. It never gets old. It never gets played out. It remains a timeless classic. And you always can take from it and benefit from it. So this is an encouragement for us to learn, to study, and to write as well. And to benefit others and have things that we can go back to and people can go back to. Bidnillah subhanahu wa ta'ala. He says, I ask Allah Azza wa Jalla, and I hope that He would allow the people to take benefit from our book, because indeed it's something that he possesses, is in his hands, subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he is more than omnipotent, more than powerful, and fulfilling my wish. He says the types of hadith are three categories of hadith, and they are sahih, hasan, and da'if. Very similar to al-Bayquniyah. Okay, starting off and discussing the types of hadith. And this is what we call انقسام الحديث بالنسبة إلى درجته. There's a categorization of hadith with regards to this level of authenticity. There are different ways of categorizing hadith. Who said the wording of the hadith? Is it a statement? Is it action? A tacit approval? Silent approval? Is it well known? Is it ahad? Is it mutawatir? So on and so forth. How does it reach us? بالنسبة إلى الوصول إلينا أو بالنسبة للوصول إلينا. But he categorizes it by the authenticity. So different ways of تقسيم الحديث. ينقسم الحديث بالنسبة لكذا. ينقسم الحديث بالنسبة لكذا. ينقسم الحديث بالنسبة لكذا. He categorizes it according to the authenticity. This is the author's view, as we also studied in the Bayquniyah. Sahih, Hasan, and Da'if. Among the earlier ulama, was there such thing as Sahih, Hasan, and Da'if? Or was it just Sahih and Da'if? In other words, Maqbool and Mardud. Even the concept of the hadith as Da'if, and the people acted upon it and benefited from it, etc. He says Sahih, Hasan, and Da'if. And we know in reality there's sahih and da'if. There's that which is accepted and that which isn't. And the different levels of sahih, including hasan, and the different levels of da'if, including mawdu', so on and so forth. Whereas that's another way of categorizing hadith as well, is the different names and titles. There's mursal, munqati', mu'dal, mudallas, mu'allaq, mawdu', batil, matruk, muttarah, matruh, wahin, saqit, etc. Qawi, jayyid, etc. So that's the author's categorization of hadith. Sahih, hasan, and da'if. As we said, this is his view and the view of many other ulama. But we said in the actual reality, there's only sahih and da'if, regardless of the different levels and ranks of sahih and of da'if. Khairan, inshallah. Let's move forward. The author then speaks about the sahih one, obviously beginning with sahih because it's the most important, and it is the most noble of the different types. He says, فَالصَّحِيهُ مَا سَلِمَ مِنَ الطَّعْنِ فِي إِسْنَادِهِ وَمَتْنِهِ ومنه المتفق عليه وهو ما أودعه الشيخان في صحيحيهما. باء والحسن ما كان إسناده دون الأول في الحفظ والإتقان ويعمه والذي قبله اسم الخبر القوي. جيم والضعيف ما ليس واحدا منهما. The author, he says that the first type is that which is called sahih. Obviously the word sahih linguistically means ضد السقيم. It's opposite of sick and ill and weak. And the sahih hadith, he says, ما سلم من الطعن في إسناده ومتنه. It's the hadith that is safe and free from any ta'an, any disparaging remarks, critical remarks regarding its chain and its matan. We can see here clearly, reading this briefly, how this book affected Hafid ibn Hajar. Of course, this is his teacher. And Ibn Hajar learned from him and also borrowed from him. He created his own style and his own technique, but you can clearly see the parts of resemblance. So therefore, he says, the Sahih Hadith is the Hadith that has no ta'an, no valid attack, damaging attack on either of its two components, the sanad and or the matan. Now the thing that we can really benefit from here is that the scholars of hadith, obviously according to the author, they criticized the matan, and it wasn't just the isnad, as the ignorant Orientalists try to claim, and as the intellectually poor Muslims who came behind them and blindly followed them and respected their critical quote-unquote academia more than that of the hundreds of years of the Muslims. They considered it to be greater than that of the ulama of hadith. They say that the ulama of hadith were just zawamin al-asfar, humal, they were humal akhbar, zawamin al-asfar, etc. They were just donkeys, just jackasses that carried heavy books, and they didn't really understand what they were saying and narrating, and they were just a bunch of foolish and gullible people that only looked at the chain. Even if hadith was totally bogus, made no sense, went against historical facts, went against clearly contradicting the Quran, etc. That's not true at all. He says, and from the Sahih, and this when you say وَمِنْهُ, it proves that the Sahih is أقسام وأبعاد وَدَرَجَات, it's maratib, it's levels, as we said. From it is that which is called al-muttafaq alayh. And al-muttafaq alayh is a terminology. It's a terminology, it's a lingo that means here, obviously, what's collected in Bukhari and Muslim. I will explain exactly what that means in a second, inshallah. But it's a lingo, it's a term that is oftentimes misunderstood. Somebody may take the statement muttafaqun alayh and think that all of the ulama of hadith agree on, or all of the ulama of Islam agree on the authenticity of this hadith. Or they say if it's muttafaq alayh, then it's some may say that it's that which is agreed upon by Bukhari, Muslim, and Ahmed, or Bukhari, Muslim, Ahmed, and the rest of the Ashab al-Sunan. Mathalan, for example. Okay. Also, we have muttafaqun ala wad'ihi. It can be agreed upon that it's fabricated and bogus, spurious. Muttafaqun ala sihatihi. That's a different story. He then says, ma awda'ahu shaykhan. Is that which is placed in the two books of the two sheikhs, Bukhari and Muslim. And what's meant by ma awda'ahu is يعني ما رواياه مسندا محتجين به في الأصول لا في الشواهد والمتابعات والمعلقات. Is that which they collect with the full isnad and they're using it as a proof and an evidence in the usul, not in the shawahid, the supporting evidences, not in the mutaba'at, the following up, and not in the mu'allaq. So an example is Bukhari rahimahullah, he mentions hadiths in the chapter headings without an isnad. You can't say akhrajahu al-Bukhari, that's collected by Bukhari. No. You say ذكره البخاري معلقا أو تعليقا. Bukhari mentioned it in ta'liq version, whether it's missing the first part of the isnad or the entire isnad or two narratives from the isnad. And the hadith which is mu'allaq is of different types. There is ما أورده بصيغة الجزم بصيغة التمريض. That's going to come later on further field of study. What's important is that the ta'liq of Bukhari is not akhrajahu al-Bukhari. Every hadith that's inside Bukhari, just mentioned in his book, does not mean that it's sahih. Not to Bukhari, nor to the rest of the ulama. Imam al-Bukhari didn't necessarily intend that, nor is that which the ulama understand. That anything that's in the book, no. Some people say every hadith inside Bukhari is authentic. That's not true. Because there are hadiths inside Bukhari that Imam Bukhari mentions in ta'liq version, whether they are authentic or not, whether they're in other places with full isnads or not. What's important is there are some hadiths that he mentions in ta'liq version to prove that they're weak. If you read in Kitab al-Siyam, he talks about the issue of not, la taqulu, don't say Ramadan, but say Shahr Ramadan, for example, mathalan. And there are other examples as well. Many examples that we don't have time to mention right now with regards to hadiths that Bukhari mentions in ta'liq form, وَرُوِيَ عَنَ النَّبِي صلى الله عليه وسلم, like that, بصيغة التمريض. خير inshallah. Also, the concept of Imam Muslim, he has different levels of hadith in his book. He has that which he mentions, fi sadr al-bab. He has that which is towards the end of the chapter. He has that which is, he puts forth first, the most authentic, then later on in levels, he puts weak narrators. He mentions people's maqrunan, his two narrators together, he bunches them together, okay? So there's levels of hadiths in Sahih Muslim as well. So what's meant by muttafaqun alayhi is that which they both report in the full isnad version with the same sahabi. Khairan inshallah ta'ala. As far as the controversy regarding Bukhari and Muslim, everything is in the book of Sahih. There's no such thing as daif hadith inside Bukhari. If Imam Bukhari gives a ruling to a hadith, then it's automatically authentic, even if it's outside of his book. If someone else criticizes Bukhari and Muslim, the criticizer is automatically wrong. If you say that a weak hadith inside Bukhari and Sahih Muslim is open up a door to destroy Islam, so on and so forth, we don't have the time, nor are we on that level of study right now to get into those juicy details. The author, he then says, and before we go further, when he says Sahihayhima, what's meant by Sahih? Is the Sahih actual genre of a book? And if it is that the actual genre of Imam Bukhari? The Bukhari call his book Sahih? Or does Bukhari have another genre, a Jami'? Also the book of Imam Muslim. What book is Imam Muslim? Is Imam Muslim's book a Sunan? Is it a Jami' or is it a Musnad? Moving forward. He says, وَالْحَسَنْ مَا كَانَ إِسْنَادُهُ دُونَ الْأَوْلِ فِي الْحِفْظِ وَالْإِتْقَانِ. And Hasan Hadith is the hadith whose isnad دُونَ الْأَوَّلِ is not as strong as the first type, the previous type, meaning Sahih, fil hifdi wal itqan, with regards to strength and power of memory, i.e., ma tawaffuri sa'iri shurut al hadith al sahih, along with the fulfillment of the rest of the conditions of a Sahih hadith. Hadith Hasan cannot be hadith munqati', cannot be mudallas, cannot be mursal, cannot be mu'dal, cannot have a kadhab, cannot be shadh, cannot be munkar, etc. Khairan inshallah. So that's why hadith Hasan, according to the author, as far as the history of the word hadith Hasan or Hasan in its evolution, then that's a long discussion. who is the first one to mention it, who is the first one to make it popular, and what did Imam al-Tirmidhi mean when he said Hasan? Al-Tirmidhi is Hasan. Is it this definition here, or does he mean something else? Naam, the Hasan to Suyuti, the Hasan of Albani is not necessarily the Hasan of Tirmidhi, Ibn Hajar and Dhahabi, etc. And that is why Dhahabi, rahimahullah ta'ala, will say, or he said in his book Al-Munqidha, he says, don't think that you're going to find a comprehensive definition for Hasan. He said, فَأَنَا عَلَى إِيَاسٍ مِنْ ذَلِكَ. He says, I've given up, I've despaired, I've lost hope trying to find 101% safe and sound, comprehensive, jami' mani definition in line of what is and what isn't Hasan. In other words, the Dhahabi is saying that a lot of it is ijtihad. Khairan inshallah. So the Hadith Hasan, according to this book, and according to Al-Bayquniyya as well, and other elementary fundamental manuals that were written in this style of Uloomil Hadith, mention and tell us that Hadith Hasan is a hadith that has a continuous chain with trustworthy narrators. It isn't shadh, it isn't munkar, but the memory is not grade A, but it's like grade B. Like a classroom setting. A student passes with an 85. It's a passing grade, but it's not like a 95 or 100. Khairan inshallah. He says, وَيُعْمُهُ وَالَذِي قَبْلَهُ اسْمُ الْخَبْرِ الْقَبِيلِ. He says, from the different side terms of Hadith Hasan, from that which is included is, or that which it falls under is that which is called Al-Khabar al-Qawi. Al-Khabar al-Qawi. A strong report. Khairan inshallah. Some say Jayyid, some say Qareeb, some say Qawi. Khairan inshallah. He then says, وَالضَّعِيفِ مَا لَيْسَ وَاحِدًا مِنْهُمَا. He says in Hadith Da'if is that which doesn't include or is not included in Hadith Sahih, or isn't included in Hadith Hasan. It has failed to reach the mark of Hasan and Sahih. And many of the later ulama, they say, مَا لَمْ يَبْلُغْ دَرَجَةَ الْحَسَنِ بِفَقْدِ شَرْطٍ مِنْ شُرُطِهِ. That which doesn't reach the level of Hasan with or missing any of its conditions in the isnad or in the matan, whatever the case may be. In other words, Hadith Da'if, as the author mentioned, is مَا لَمْ يَسْلَمْ مِنَ الطَّعْنِ فِي إِسْنَادِهِ وَمَتْنِهِ. مَا لَمْ يَسْلَمْ الحديث الذي لم يسلم من الطعن في إسناده ومتنه is the hadith that is not free from damaging remarks, disparaging points against or in its isnad and or its matan. That is daif. And obviously, as we study in Al-Bayquniyya, وَهُوَ أَقْسَامًا كَثُرٍ, that the hadith daif is of many types, many levels. Now, many different stations. There's severe levels of weakness, light levels of weakness, intermediate levels of weakness, etc. And there are different reasons behind weakness. In the isnad alone, in the matan alone. Obviously, if there's a problem in the matan, then there has to be a problem in the isnad. So there's no such thing as the matan is weak, but the chain is authentic. It's impossible, because the matan had to come from somewhere. There's somewhere down the line there's a glitch in the matan. We say ظاهره الصحة, ظاهره الصحة. One way or another, there's something, a glitch. There's a missing narrator, someone who lied, someone who was placed into the chain, taken out, one way or another. And that's a long discussion in itself. So, b'idhnillahi ta'ala, this is the end of our first lesson. What's important as a study guide, inshallah, is the first question would be to describe the author from your memory, and then also speak about the author, his name, his lineage, where he was born, when he died, who studied with him, who he, etc., from your notes. Also, is what is the reason, or what is the history of this book? What's the isnad, what's the lineage of this book? And who's going to benefit from it? How many types of hadith are there? What are their names? What are their definitions? And what are the different levels of authentic, or what is from the aqsam of sahih? Another very important point to help you study would be what is different and what is unique between this book and that of Al-Bayquniyya. Are there any differences so far? Or is it pretty much the same? And if it is the same, why are we going to study this book again? These are all very important points to help you with regards to the review and the bolstering of the fawaid of the first lesson. Allah surely knows best.